Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. And today we're going to talk about this case that's driving everybody crazy. First of all, I just want to apologise for my voice. I have a cold, which is why I'm on the avatar. Hopefully, later on today, I will be doing another live later on today. Today's Sunday. If you're watching it live, 8th of February, and we're going to talk about the latest developments in this case of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old woman who went missing. It's a week ago now. I think it was last Sunday she was reported missing. So as I say, apologies for the nasal. Uh, there's not much I can do about it. But I did want to come on and tell you the latest developments because I do believe this case now is starting to move much more quickly. And I don't think it'll be long now before we find out exactly what happened to Nancy, poor Nancy. And there's a few things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Nancy's Facebook page, where it is apparent that Nancy is anti Trump, very much so. And actually, just hang on, I've got some Vicks somewhere. I'm going to see if that makes any difference. I don't want to be sniffing all the way through this video. One sec. Oh. Yeah, it's a bit miserable having a cold, but I wanted to come on, as I say, and tell you all these things. Unfortunately, I sound a bit sort of nasally, but anyway, let's try some Vicks, might make a difference. Okay, so yeah, there's a few things that I want to tell you. I want to talk about Nancy's Facebook page, where, as I say, it is apparent that she is very anti-Trump, anti-ICE. You know, this has led a lot of people that were sympathetic towards her before. You know what these Trumpers are like, saying, "Oh, I feel differently about this case now," as if she deserves to be kidnapped because she doesn't support Trump. But anyway, she doesn't. So it just leads to a vague thought that maybe, because some of those Trumpers out there, they are a bit crackers, aren't they? You know, is that to do with her kidnapping? I personally don't think so. And if I was to be brutally honest now, I don't even think she has been kidnapped. But anyway, we'll find out. Um, the other thing is the ransom appeal, apparently $6 million. There's been another appeal put out by the family. But another thing that's transpired is her daughter Annie, who is married to this guy that you can see on the photo there. They're at their home, and the police have been to their home, which is where, of course, Nancy was. The night before she disappeared, supposedly, she took an Uber, for some unknown reason why she had to take an Uber to their home. And maybe they'd already been had a drinky poos or whatever, and so they couldn't pick her up because she only lives up the road from this daughter and her husband, Annie, and her husband. And supposedly, though it's never been made clear, was it them that took her home? Anyway, it's after she spent the evening with them that reputedly she disappeared. But did she, though? Did she ever even leave their house? Because the police have now been in that house taking photos, spraying luminol, which detects bloodstains. Apparently, this is what podcasters are saying that are at the scene, people like Brian Entin, JLR, etc. This is what everybody's saying, that the police have been concentrating um, on their house, on their home. Now, if you remember, early on in this investigation, really only a few days in, Ashley Banfield, News Nation, declared that this guy was a suspect. The son-in-law was a suspect. Now, then the police seemed to be quite angry. The court said it was reckless to name suspects because they didn't have any suspects. The police said that. So, the police sort of backed down on it, but instead of retracting what she said, Ashley Banfield doubled down on what she said. And Ashley Banfield, she's a podcaster like we all are, but she's normally quite spot on with the things she says. I was very surprised that she would name someone as a suspect if they weren't a suspect. Anyway, but it was obviously there's somebody in the police leaking out information, no doubt. So, yeah, no doubt this is. I'm starting to sort of come around to this conclusion that maybe there is more to this. Maybe it's not around an actual kidnap at all. Did something happen that night as they were all supposedly playing games? The thing is, you just don't know. He could be a rabid Trump supporter, and that could have caused an argument. Arguments happen over silly things, don't they? But did it or not? I'm not saying it did. What I'm saying is the fact that the police are there at the home now. Why weren't they there right at the beginning? But anyway, so sorry, I'll try and get through this without sniffing too much. I'm not as ill as I sound. Oh, I think it always gets worse before it gets better, doesn't it? I did sleep very well last night, so I'm sure another couple of good sleeps I'll be fine. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to all for watching, for liking, for subscribing, for sharing my videos, all those things that you do that help my channel. Thank you. Special thank you to my members, of course. Special thank you to those of you who've bought me Ko-Fi's and you've helped towards the fund for a new computer. Thank you to those of you who send me emails suggesting cases, etc. Thank you so much. Any way you support my channel, I appreciate everything. Thank you. Okay, let's take the banner off now. And hello there, you lovely lurkers. Hello there, replay crew. And now I'm going to come into the chat and have a chat to those of you who are brave enough to come into the chat before I get going with this story properly. Okay, hi Angel. Hi Mark. Oh gosh, my eyes are watering as well. That's why I'm on the avatar. You won't want to see my face at the moment. She doesn't have dementia, Mark. She's as sharp as a tack. No dementia. No. Yes, I put out a post about that, Miss Lee. He's been sentenced to 22 years, I think it is. So I did put out a community post about it. I'm not doing a video about it because the last time I did a video about it, YouTube didn't like it. But yeah, he's been convicted for drugging those children. Also, his wife, his poor wife. And this guy is 76 years old. How long has he been doing that for? And the other thing that really annoys me, you notice the right wing on all over it, are they? Because he's a retired vet, a respectable guy on the surface. God forbid that he would have been an immigrant or anything like that, what he's done. So 76 years old before he's got caught. How many years has he been doing that? How many years? Anyway, he's got a 22-year sentence. So I think it's 22. He's unlikely to come out of prison again, isn't he? Is he? Hi, Kaz. So yeah, it seems likely to me. This is the way I feel at the moment about this case. about Nancy Guthrie. Bless her. I'm sort of losing hope that she is still alive. I think it's a bogus kidnapping. You know, I think, but I don't know for certain. So, of course, there's been ransom notes. That's another thing we're going to talk about today. So, apparently, it's leaking out now that the ransom that was demanded is $6 million. Now, the police were treating those. There's been one person arrested for making false ransom claims. He was arrested quite quickly, but these other two ransom notes have been taken more seriously by the police. Obviously, they have to take everything seriously because they do, until they know for certain they're fake. They have to take them seriously because a woman's life is at stake, a vulnerable woman. And of course, they're right in the public eye because of Nancy's daughter, one of Nancy's daughters, Savannah, being, one of the most famous TV anchors in America. So, you know, they're in the public eye. There are lots of people go missing and go under the radar, don't they? We never get to hear about them. But Nancy, the fact of her daughter being famous, then obviously it's going to get a lot of attention. Okay, so I'm just going to take that picture away. So I think, first of all, we're going to look at Nancy's Facebook page. Now, the thing is, I don't feel bad showing it. It's public. Everything that we're going to look at is public on her Facebook page. It's not private. I'm not delving into anything that I shouldn't be delving into. And I think it's useful to give us an idea of Nancy and her character. And when I was looking through her Facebook, there's a lot of pictures of her grandchildren, of her family. She's a very family orientated person. You can see that. But she's also, yes, she is a liberal. There's a lot of posts anti-Trump or anti-ICE, all these things that have been happening lately. Of people being shot by the ICE agents, etc. She's definitely left wing, if you like. A child's note to a friend has gone viral on social media. If ICE takes me, don't forget about me. I will be in El Salvador. You're my best friend, the brother I never had. I cry every night thinking that they will come for me at school. So you can see the way her political leanings are. And, at the end of the day, we're all entitled to our political views, whatever they are, aren't we? So, yeah, now there are a lot of pictures on there. Let me just have a look. There's a lot of photos on there of the family. I don't want to show where are the photos? Anyway, I've downloaded a couple of them. Not the children, like the grandchildren, but there are a lot of photos. Oh, there you go. Let's have a look of her with her grandchildren. I love this photo in particular because I think this must be Nancy when she was young with her children that, of course, are all grown up now, with Savannah and Annie and the son. So there's a lot of, you can see she's a real family person. Here's some photos of her more up to date. And ironically enough, if it turns out to be true, what the rumours are, this is her, I take it that's her house, I'm not sure. That is the family. There's photos of here. So this is a photo I took this is the man who is supposed to be a suspect. This must have been Tommaso. He's Italian, apparently. 14 years. So she shared that in 2020. Annie and Tommaso, 14 years together. And he, unfortunately, is the man that's in. Oh, I don't think you saw it. See, people shouting at me. Sorry, here he is. Yeah, here. This is the man. Yeah, I forget that I have to actually put it up on the screen. It just doesn't go automatically. So yeah, this is Tomasco with his wife Annie. This was their wedding anniversary, 1st of October 2020, and he is the one who's in the frame. And I've noticed that a lot of media outlets now are starting to talk more. It was only Ashley before that said this, Ashley Banfield, but I've noticed a lot more media outlets talking more openly now about possibilities of him being a suspect. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, quite the police must have looked at him from the beginning, or because it is the person who last saw someone that is responsible for whatever's happened to them, and this is where Nancy was the night before she disappeared. She was at their house. She took an Uber there. We know that for certain because the Uber driver has been interviewed. What we don't know is how she got back to her house. Hey, Snoopy. We don't know how she got back to her house for certain, do we? And let me go back now and have a look at those photos again that I was looking at before, but you didn't see them. Yeah, where's that nice black and white? There's a lovely black and white. This black and white photo. This, I presume, is Nancy when she was younger with the children when they were young. So as I say, these are all public on Nancy's Facebook page. They're not private, marked private or anything like that. They're public. That's a beautiful photo, isn't it? Of, I presume, Nancy when she was young with that signature haircut of the day, isn't it? That was the hairstyle of the day. With the children, with her children, lovely. It is public, so this must be like a back garden type place. But there's Nancy on, looks like a cookout of some kind, barbecue type thing. So yeah, as I say, quite a lot of pictures of the grandchildren, which I don't really want to look at those. Not that I don't want to look at them, but don't. If you want to see Nancy's Facebook page, it is there. It's up there. It's still up there, and it's public. And you'll see from the post. This is a beautiful picture. I am going to show this one. So this was Christmas. This was Christmas 2025. They've all got the same pajamas on. There's the guy, Tomasco, with the dog. You know, we'll see what happens. We don't know that Tomasco might be under suspicion, like everybody will be under suspicion at the moment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's guilty of anything yet. So no, he's not been, as far as we know, he's not been arrested. He's not been charged. So, but the police have been at he and Annie's house, and they have been taking photos. And according to podcasters who are around there, they've been spraying luminol, which, of course, luminol we spray. Well, I don't, we don't, but the police spray when they think there might be blood, that's been cleared up, but not very well, sort of thing. So going back to, of course, I don't think I was sharing when I wanted to show Nancy's posts. Let's see, post. About, ICE, Alex Pretty, who was murdered by ICE. So it's evident that she is a liberal. She is not a Trump supporter. And she's definitely anti-ICE. And yeah, look, 2,000-year-old warning about Trump. Just like, yeah, she doesn't like Donald Trump, let's put it that way. And of course, that's led to a lot of Trumpers sort of almost, I feel differently about this case. I actually saw someone put that on X. It's like, you feel different. It's still an 84-year-old woman that's gone missing, whether she likes Trump or not. What difference does that make? What difference does someone's political stance make on whether you think they should be a victim or not? Bloody ridiculous. Anyway. Oh, apologies again. So I'm drinking coffee and trying to breathe through my nose. Okay. So that was the first thing I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you Nancy's Facebook page. And to me, looking at it, you can see she's got political views, as most of us do. But she's also very family orientated. So many pictures of the family. She looks like a social person. Those pictures of the family, especially that Christmas picture. It doesn't just all there in their, same pajamas. Looks very cozy. But we know, don't we, that social media means very little. You see these happy photos online all the time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that families are happy, does it? Just because they've got lovely photos on there in their matching pajamas. Also, sometimes it can be that families are happy, but if there's alcohol involved or, an argument ensues, things can get out of hand. It doesn't always mean that you don't love that person anymore. Sometimes, love is, it's almost like you can feel too passionately, can't you? You could, if they had an argument, could be incensed that somebody could be incensed that somebody else didn't agree with them, and they can, you get more angry with people that you care about in a way, don't you? I mean, that does happen, doesn't it? Uh, and as I say, if there's, I don't know, arguments can get out of hand, can't they? They can get out of hand. And even or especially, uh, if it was about politics, they might have opposite politics. That's, people normally argue about politics or religion, isn't it? The two things that people argue about the most. They're the subjects to avoid, aren't they, if you don't want to argue with somebody? Anyway, so I don't know. We don't know for certain that this man is a suspect in any way. But what we do know is that the police were there at the house, examined for 3 hours, according to Brian Entin. The police were there at Annie and Tomasco's house, which is just up the road, which is the house where Nancy spent her last evening before she disappeared. And the police were there for 3 hours taking photos and apparently spraying luminol. So now it could just be an elimination thing. If that's where she last was, then that's probably why they're checking. They should check. Strange that they're checking now, though, to me. Why not right in the beginning? If somebody goes missing, or where were they last? Oh, they were at our house. Wouldn't you go there first? And work back from there. I don't know. Anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And as I say, I'm not going to show every single photo that Nancy has got on her Facebook, but if you want to go onto her Facebook, it's there, it's public, it's not private. Now, another appeal has been put out by the Guthrie family. So we watched the first appeal with the three siblings. Savannah, of course, she's the famous sibling. Annie is the one that's married to Tomasco, the son-in-law that's supposedly under suspicion, possibly, maybe. And then the son as well made his own separate appeal. So there's been two appeals so far, and now there's a third one. And that's what we're going to look at now. Look at the third appeal that was done last night. Let's have a look. Just wait for it to come up and I'll make sure it's sharing. Let me just check it's sharing before I press play. I've got to put it on. There you go. Okay, so this is the latest appeal. So again, the three siblings are there. They're all holding hands. We've got Savannah in the middle, Annie on the right-hand side. Just one thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's important or not, but Annie does not look at the camera, whereas the other two, brother and sister, they are staring directly at the camera. Annie seems to find it difficult to look at the camera, but that may be just because she's so upset. So we can't read too much into it. But having said that, we can't help but read things into things, can we? Uh, I think we're all invested in knowing that Nancy is okay. It's horrible to think of an 84-year-old woman being snatched from her bed in the middle of the night, because that's the other alternative, isn't it? That's the official narrative at the moment, that she was kidnapped, and these ransom notes are to do with that. Somebody literally snatched her from her bed. Oh, another thing that I was reading today is that she was upstairs, so they would have had to bring her downstairs. I don't forget there was blood at the door, on the doorstep, that was Nancy's. This is of her home. Because some people are saying now, did she even ever make it home? Well, she must have made it home at some point, because the blood is there. And that's where all her things are. Her bag, her purse, her medication, her phone. They were all at the house, weren't they? So either she made it back to the house or somebody took her things to the house. So it is a real mystery, isn't it? And that blood that's there, where did that come from? Where did that blood come from? It is Nancy's blood. So anyway, let's see what they say.
Received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Savannah Guthrie and her.
No, I'm going to play the end of the rest of this video, the news part of it, but it's an odd thing. Well, that was it. That was it. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. Please bring our mother home to us so we can celebrate with her. Let's just see it again, because I thought it was a very odd appeal, personally. I mean, I don't know what
siblings now appealing direct.
I don't know,
Received your message.
There's not a rule on how you would appeal, I suppose. So I don't know what a normal one would be, but yeah, it just struck me as obviously the language that's used. This will have been rehearsed, and there will have been advice from the FBI about what to say, how to say it, how to appear like they appear very united, don't they? Let's have a look. They're all holding hands. I think they're all holding hands. Yeah, it's very mysterious, this case. Honestly, the more I see it, I don't feel that it's Well, to be honest, right from the beginning, I thought the kidnap notes might have been bogus, because it just seems strange to me. Well, there's few things seem strange. One, fancy sending kidnap notes to media. Right from the beginning, the kidnap notes were sent to like TMZ, which is a gossip like magazine type thing from Hollywood. They're not, people normally send ransom notes to the family or law enforcement. And the other thing about sending it to media, especially TMZ, I'm sorry, I don't want to be sniffy, I'm being sniffy because I've got cold, but about TMZ, but they're not, well, they are serious, but you know what I mean? They're a gossip type thing, Hollywood gossip. Why send a ransom note to them? It was obviously going to be publicised then as well. So it struck me that whoever sent those ransom notes to media, they wanted them to be public. And that's unusual for kidnappers because kidnappers, they normally want everything to be quiet and no fuss made. They normally say to the family, if you go to the media or if you go to the police, that's it. We're going to kill your loved one or whatever. They normally don't want a big publicity thing, but I felt that whoever sent these ransom notes, they did want publicity because that's why they sent them to places like TMZ. Now, then I have heard people on podcasts saying, or maybe they did send them to the police or whatever, but they just didn't get picked up. I don't believe that for a minute. Of course, they would have got picked up. I don't believe it. Well, then, so they thought, oh, the police aren't responding, so I'm going to send it to TMZ. I don't believe it. Yeah, it seems fishy to me. Now, the police have never confirmed that these ransom notes are genuine. Not yet. They're obviously taking them seriously because they've got these appeals going on and things. But they haven't actually confirmed officially, oh, this ransom note is genuine. Maybe because they don't know yet.
And we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Savannah Guthrie and her siblings now appealing directly to whoever kidnapped their mother a week ago.
Welcome to 12 News at 6.
To pay to get their mother back.
12 News journalist Gabriella Becerra is live outside of Nancy's home. And Gabby, this video is just heartbreaking. You can hear and see the desperation in their faces and voices.
Yeah, Cree, this case just keeps getting more and more emotional. But as we've seen, it's moving farther away from her home. We saw in about a 1 mile radius of Nancy's home. We also visited several businesses along Oracle Avenue, which is not far from here. And we spoke with those people who work there, and they say that they've been visited by investigators who are asking to see surveillance video. Yeah. Now, the sheriff's office, when asked about this, says this is just standard procedure for any investigation. And they continue to say that they have no suspects,
Yeah, the sheriff's still saying no suspect, but another thing, again, that I saw on another pod, I mean, I've been watching every podcast you can imagine, as I'm sure you are. Somebody said that they were asking for surveillance video, that they did have a person that they were looking for on surveillance video. That, again, don't know if that's true. The sheriff will listen. This sheriff or any law enforcement, they're never going to say anything definite until they've got someone arrested and charged. That they've got some proper evidence. I'm sure they've got some evidence already, but of whatever. But they're, it's not cut and dried yet. So he's not going to say there's a suspect until suddenly there is. But the thing is, this person, whoever it is that took, suppose it is a kidnapper and not to do with the family. They must have known that area. This house is in an area that's pitch black in the middle of the night. There's an order that against light pollution, so you're not allowed to have street lights and things. I watched a podcast last night. There was like where all the cameras were from the media and the lights, you could see him, and he was talking. He literally walked 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, just a few yards into like the night, if you like, away from the lights. You couldn't see him at all, not even the whites of his eyes. You could not see anything. That's how dark it is there. So whoever took Nancy, they must know that area, because nobody surely is going to choose that area if they don't know it. They must have either got to know it beforehand. Maybe Nancy was targeted, uh, possibly because her daughter is famous, or possibly because somebody let it slip that she's an old lady who's probably got a lot of money, or may have a lot of money in the bank, and she lives on her own. And, it only takes someone to make one comment to the wrong person. It could be somebody, maybe somebody went and did Nancy's garden, and then later that day they're out in a pub, or a bar, as you call it in America, and they said, "Oh, guess whose house I was doing the garden of today? It's the mother of Savannah Guthrie. Because she's famous, Savannah, in America. She's a famous news anchor. So it's just the sort of thing that somebody might have just mentioned in passing. Oh, guess whose house I was at today, doing trimming their hedges, or doing planting some plants, doing some DIY for them." And they might be innocently saying that. And the person that they're talking to, their ears prick up and they think, what? An old lady on her own there, her daughter's famous? And that person might be a bit more nefarious and start thinking about either them or with a group of people, start talking about it. So there's all sorts of ways that she could have been identified as a victim. But I don't believe that they will have just gone there on the off chance. I don't believe it was somebody just driving round and thought, oh, let's have a look in that house, see if there's anyone we can kidnap. Unless they broke in for a robbery and then she woke up and they decided to kidnap her. Maybe it was later that they found out that her daughter was famous. Because the ransom notes did not come immediately. It was a few days past. So I suppose it's feasible that they broke in to rob the place. Nancy woke up and they thought, oh God, we've got to take her with us because she's kicking up a fuss. Maybe they took her with them and maybe something happened to Nancy, but then a few days later they saw, all the hoo-ha in the media, and they thought, oh God, we can make some money out of this. Oh, and another thing that I think is important to say, as far as we know, no proof of life has been given yet. So what they were saying there, we have the money, we will pay, or, we understand, blah, de, blah, de, blah. They have not been given proof of life, or it's not been made public that they've been given proof of life. But I think what they're trying to say there, because they said, return our mother to us and we will pay. But they're not saying we will pay and then return our mother to us. I mean, nobody would pay $6 million without having had proof of life first. Either, your loved one already returned to you, or at least they're proving to you that she's still alive, surely. God, it's reminding me of, it's a completely different case. There was, I don't know if you've seen my videos about the serial killer Isaac Keys, because he made a kidnap appeal, if you like, for a girl that unfortunately had already killed. He had already killed her. You sort of Samantha Koenig. He had abducted her, he had murdered her, and then he put out a kidnap, a ransom note for her, and to make it look like she was alive. He literally, I just want to give you a warning. I'm not saying for a minute this is what's happened with Nancy, but I'm just trying to show you cannot underestimate twonks what they will do. He literally sewed Samantha's eyes open and took a photo of her with a newspaper of the day, And that was the photo that he sent to her family to make it look as if she was still alive, but she'd actually been dead quite a long time. He had actually murdered her, left her in his house, in the shed, in his garden, and gone off on a cruise with his girlfriend and his daughter. Come back a week later and then did that. You know, you cannot underestimate these horrible people. You try and you think, oh, nobody would do that. Where people do terrible things. So I say, I'm not saying, that Nancy is deceased. Hopefully she isn't. But to me, it's less and less likely, and it's less and less likely that it was ever a kidnap in the first place, to be honest. So anyway, let's just watch the end of this. I'm waffling again.
Interest or vehicles in this case. They're also telling us today that they were reviewing evidence, and at this time they will not confirm or release details regarding what is being analyzed. That statement comes after we saw a car being towed away, a blue SUV from Nancy's home yesterday, and NBC News confirms that car to Guthrie. Neither the FBI sheriff office has legitimized two ransom notes sent to KOLD TV, a local TV station here in Tucson. And KOLD reports the second note appears to be in response to Savannah Guthrie's videos posted earlier this week. The first note had a debt for a Bitcoin transfer by money. I asked a retired Phoenix police commander if he thinks investigators are feeling any pressure from that deadline, and here's what he said.
You can't. You have to take everything in a very objective, calm way. You can't get sucked in emotionally. They're checking all social media accounts. They're checking all phone data points off the towers. They're checking all cameras associated with intersections. They're doing license plate reads. They're doing facial recognition. They're eliminating possible suspects.
Gosh, poor Nancy.
Is asked to take a physical box of where those recordings are stored with the promise to return it to him. And even though we've seen these videos from Savannah Guthrie, they're very emotional. This sheriff's office continues to tell us, the FBI continues to tell us that they have not proven that these ransom notes are real. And they tell us that they are taking them very seriously, as it appears the family is as well. And the FBI is now offering a $50,000 reward to anyone who helps return Nancy home or helps lead to an arrest in this case. They're asked to contact the FBI directly at
$50,000 reward. That's a big reward, isn't it? So, well, but the ransom demand apparently is $6 million. And the deadline supposedly is Monday. So we're on Sunday now. So they've only got a day to get it all together. They're saying they will pay. I think something's going to break very soon. I certainly hope so. I feel like the police do not fix. So they're searching all the property round about. Are they looking for Nancy? Do they think she's roundabout? And then, of course, they took off Nancy's car, took it away for processing. Do they feel that Nancy was in her car at some point, taken away in her own car?
1-800-CALL-FBI. Live in Tucson, Gabriella Becerra, 12 News.
Gabby, thanks. And because that video is so short from Savannah Guthrie, the latest video, we want to play it again for you one more time.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Just looking at that there, I don't know. They look like they're making a united front, but are they? We don't know. We don't know. I'm not going to. Whether the answers. Hey, Linda, sorry, you've got flu and pneumonia. Oh, I hope I don't get pneumonia. I don't think I've got flu. I've got a head cold, I think. But, there you go. what can you say? It's the season for it. It's the season for it. So I just want to look at one more article. As I say, even media outlets now are talking more openly about Tomasco. I'll just remind you that it was Ashley Banfield, first of all, that said that Tomasco was. Come on, share. Add to stage. Oh, here it is. It's coming up. Sorry, this computer is just so ridiculously slow. Yeah, even other, media outlets are coming out now and talking more openly about the possibility that, I mean, this is the Hindustan Times, which you might think, I find them, quite often use them because I find that because they're out of the country, their articles are interesting, they're different from the articles that you see in America and Nancy's daughter Annie. And this is their house. This is their house that Nancy was last at the night before she disappeared. It's their house that the police have been to for 3 hours, taking photos, spraying luminol, according to what podcasters at the scene are saying. So this is Tomasco Sione. So they say, amid the search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, videos surfacing on social media show law enforcement at Savannah's sister Annie's house. And don't forget, they only live up the road from Nancy. One ex-user shared a photo showing camera flashes with authorities likely taking photos at Annie's residence, while claiming that she and her husband, Tommaso Cioni, were not at home. I mean, where are they, I wonder? So, yeah, this was an ex-post. Video footage from outside Annie Guthrie's home in Tucson shows law enforcement inside with visible camera flashes, likely taking photos. Annie and her husband Tommaso are reportedly not at the residence, and this comes amid the ongoing investigation. I don't want to go to Twitter. No, I just stay where I am. That they put up on X. And journalist Brian Ensign, I've been following Brian. He's every couple of hours he's putting a video out with some information. He's very good with the information he gives. He said that on X, the deputies were at Anne's home for several hours taking photos while investigating. Flashes still going off in Annie Guthrie's home, definitely taking photos. And then later he said, all the deputies have left Annie Guthrie's house. The last one came out wearing blue gloves. They were inside for about 3 hours. So that's a long time, isn't it? 3 hours, is that it? No, it says where is 20 of them? I mean, at the end of the day, their house, I think you could think, their house is bound to be investigated because that is where Nancy was last seen before she was kidnapped. So I suppose it's fair enough, is it? Hi, Daniel. Happy Sunday to you. Let's see what other outlets are saying. So sorry about my cold. Oh, and I wanted to come on later. I've got an update about Anna Kepner to give you, but I may have to record that for later. But anyway, we'll see. So, of course, it's night time in America now. So I don't think we're going to hear anything for the next couple of hours. So apparently Tommaso and Annie hired a security guard to stand outside their house, which you can't blame them. It reminds me a little bit of, the Gabby Petito case. And Brian Laundrie, of course, he was the guilty one there. But, his parents' house was staked out. His sister, she was also the media around there. It is something that happens, and you wouldn't want, if I'm just thinking if that was me, you wouldn't want to be in the house if you did have somewhere else you could go to. Also, of course, the police go in there to check it out, which is fair enough. If you've got nothing to hide, you'd be like, yeah, come in the house, go through the house with a fine tooth comb. Because if you're innocent and you've got nothing to hide, I mean, it could be that the police have got a search warrant and that's why they're going in. But what you would, as I say, if you were innocent, you would just say, yeah, please, come in. You'd want to be exonerated, wouldn't you? You just want them to come in, do whatever they've got to do in your house if that's the last place that your loved one was ever seen, and then get on and get out there and find whoever did what. Do you know what I mean? Hi, YouTube love story for you. Yeah, well, we can see that Nancy was political. Everybody's got a political view. There's nothing wrong with it. We all are entitled to our political view, whatever it is, even, if other people might have political views that I can't understand, that's their view, isn't it? It's nothing to do with me. So, you may be baffled by people's political leanings, but that's their leanings, and they've done, people's political leanings normally, evolve over years, don't they? Can be even come from your parents and things like that, where political views are personal. They're deeply personal. You can keep them private if you want to, or you can be open about them if you want to, but nobody should be judged by their political views completely, should they? As long as they're not, sort of calling for harm against anyone or anything like that. Everybody has a right to voice their political views. But it's an important point because, somebody was saying on a podcast yesterday, this could be a revenge thing against Savannah, because maybe she said something 10 years ago on one of her programs that people, some, radical one, either left or right, didn't agree with, and has harbored a grudge against her for 10 years. That's everything's a possibility at the moment. And I do think just want to mention again, because I don't think it's been talked about enough. Savannah did interview all the Epstein victims. She interviewed them all, and including Virginia Giuffre, and now all this about the Epstein files, and then suddenly, Nancy's been kidnapped. You could think it could be tied to that. It could, at the moment, while we don't know what has happened, there's so many different possibilities. Could be closer to home. It could be involving the family. Tommaso, for example, as Ashley Banfield said, within the first couple of days, maybe she was spot on. I do feel it's strange that she's not retracted that statement in any way. In fact, if anything, she doubled down on it, said her source was genuine. But if that is a source from within the law enforcement, and it turns out to be true. That is not right. They shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have, unless maybe the police asked her to do that. I mean, we just don't know, do we? There's all sorts of intricacies go on behind the scenes during investigations that we're not privy to. Quite often I've felt from the beginning of this case that all this about the ransom notes and everything, it is almost like a smoke screen. So while people are talking about the ransom notes and the possibility, is there other things going on behind the scenes so that people aren't looking at that so closely? So anyway, I just want to summarise what we know. We know what we do know. We do know that whatever the truth of whether Tommaso is involved or not, the photos, and according to one podcaster, spraying luminol, whether it's true or not, but that is what is being. I mean, they were definitely there for 3 hours. That is true. So we know that that's a fact. They were at the house. That Nancy's own car has been towed away for processing. That the police have been searching round about the area around Nancy's house. There's been helicopters, there's been searches actually around close by the house. We have heard that there has been somebody identified on CCTV that the police want to know more about, and they're out and about getting CCTV from all over the area. That reminded me a bit of the Tepe murders. That's how they sort of pinned down Michael McKee, wasn't it? After seeing his car turn up there, and then they pinned down the CCTV of him. What else? We know that it's a $6 million ransom that's been asked for. And tomorrow is the deadline, apparently, for this Bitcoin payment. Hi, Lily. What else do we know for certain? We know that the blood that was found at Nancy's house was her blood. So at some point, either she has bled there at her house, or somebody has dripped. So when somebody does something to someone, sometimes the blood may have come from the perpetrator, even though it's Nancy's blood, if that makes sense. So it wasn't enough blood that it would mean that she was deceased. But it was quite a significant amount of blood, wasn't it? But it wasn't so much blood that it was felt she couldn't live if she'd lost that blood. What else do we know? We know that she didn't take her medication with her, or nobody, she doesn't have a medication with her, but of course medication can be obtained from other sources, so it doesn't mean to say that she's not been able to take a medication. She didn't take her phone with her. There's this thing about her Apple Watch. So at the end of the day, no possessions were taken with Nancy. Do we even know what she was wearing when she disappeared? If she was taken from her bed, was she wearing a pajamas or a nightie? Nothing's been said about what was thought that she may have been wearing as she was taken from the house. Did she have shoes on? Did she have slippers on? What was she wearing? So they'll know what she was wearing when she was at Annie's house, Annie and Tommaso's house the night before. Presumably Annie and Tommaso's told the police what she was wearing. It's still not clear how she got home from there. She apparently got an Uber to go to their property, which is strange because it was only up the road, but maybe they'd had a drink or something and they couldn't pick her up. Who knows? We don't know the answer to that, but it's not been made clear how she got home. And all we know about when she probably got home is because of when the garage door opened and things like that. But that doesn't mean to say it was Nancy. Anybody, that could be, anyone going in there. We don't have photos of her going home, I don't think. So yeah, it's a real mysterious one, isn't it? Still a mystery. Uh, you know, I don't know when it'll become clear, but I would say, you know, I feel like, because is this? I think the police are trying really hard, obviously, to solve it. They always do. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, why is Nancy getting all the attention? Other missing people don't." Well, all missing people should get the same attention, but unfortunately, the world we live in, uh, Nancy will get more attention because her daughter is famous, and not only that, I think because it is a very mysterious case. Somebody who's supposedly doing something as ordinary as sleeping in their own bed in the early hours of the morning, an 84-year-old woman getting snatched away. That is newsworthy, isn't it? People are outraged about it. And I agree, all missing people should get a lot of attention, but, there's just so many. A lot of families I know are saying, why did my daughter not get this attention, or why did my son not get this attention? But of course, the other thing that happens is often they get attention. This is only a week on, so it's still in the early days. So, there is a lot of attention on it. There's still the hope that Nancy may be alive still, isn't there? There's, an adult could live a week. Obviously, now she's got her medical problems, and that's a concern, because every day that she's not receiving a proper care and attention is a day that makes it more difficult for a woman who's already elderly and in frail health. So, anyway, that's where we are. That's what we know so far. I don't think there's anything else just at the moment. As soon as there is anything, I will be back on, cold or not. Whether I'm sorry to sniffle all the way through this video, but whatever, I will be on one way or another to tell you about this case. Be interesting to see what happens when sort of the morning comes. It's about 4 o'clock Spanish time. I'm in Spain, for anyone who doesn't know, in Europe. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning, or 20 past 10 in the morning, as I'm doing this video. And of course, in America, I think somebody was saying that it was around, so it'd be around about 3:20 in the morning, is it, a.m.? So in about 6 hours, yeah, it's normally around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Spain that America sort of wakes up. And I wonder if we'll get a press conference today. We didn't get a press conference yesterday. The sheriff said he wasn't going to do a press conference unless there was anything new to report. He didn't do one yesterday. I wonder if he'll do one today, because whatever happened there last night, the police were there taking photos, spraying luminol at the daughter's house. Did anything come of that? And where are Annie and Tommaso? Are they being questioned? I mean, we saw Annie in that appeal. It was the three siblings together, but it was a very, very short appeal, wasn't it? It's hard to understand what the purpose of it was. And tomorrow, of course, is the deadline for the Bitcoin, which apparently is $6 million. So, yeah, God, it's like, if it wasn't so serious, but it's almost like a crime series, isn't it? It's like you're waiting for the next installment, because you just feel that something more is going to come out. So we have to wait now till I think it'd be at least 4 o'clock this afternoon Spanish time before anything transpires. I wonder if we might see a press conference today. Well, let's hope so, for the sake of Nancy and for the sake of her family. It needs a resolution to this. What a horrible experience they must be going through. and what a horrible experience Nancy has gone through, whatever has happened to her. It won't have been nice, will it? So, poor Nancy. Okay, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I will, oh, thank you, YouTube Story. I will be back as soon. Yeah, and you know, it's true what you say there, YouTube Love Story. The police, you feel like it was very confusing, wasn't it? They went and they sealed off the crime scene. They said right from the beginning, from day one, this was a crime scene. The sheriff said that from day one. Then they took all the crime scene tape down, and the wilderness dog was there reporting on this case. Brian, and it's not their fault because at the end of the day, the crime scene tape was removed. Brian Entin was there videoing the blood on the step. They're all the mainstream media were there. It's, apparently, JLR was saying yesterday as he approached, there's just media everywhere because they took down the crime scene tape. Then they went back and put it back up again. Then they moved everybody right up to the end of the road so you couldn't get anywhere near the property. Then, of course, they all moved to Annie's house, the media, and they've been there taking these videos of the police there and everything. So this on-off thing about crime scenes, is it a crime scene or isn't it? And if it is a crime scene, it should be kept as a crime scene until it's found out what's happened to Nancy. Or did they want the media there? Stirring the pot a bit. Sometimes the police quite like that because they get on with other things while the media, you give the media something and then they're somewhere else doing something else. Sometimes the police do that. So could have been a deliberate ploy or it could have just been a big mistake because, in my opinion, until a crime is solved, it's always a crime scene, I mean, all right, you can't go on for years keeping somewhere a crime scene, but it's only been a week. It's not as if months had passed and they thought, oh, I bet it's time to lift that crime scene tape. Literally a week. And the crime scene tape was gone. Well, if within a few days. And then it was back up. So very confusing. But anyway, thank you, Lily. Thank you, everyone, as I say, for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you really soon in the next video, which I'm sure will be later on today sometime. Take care of yourself because you are the most important person. Prayers for Nancy, prayers for her family. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Have a great day. And until I see you again, may your God always go with you.